Have you ever felt a familiar presence during a lonely moment? Have you ever woken up with the feeling that someone special was right next to you, even though you know they're not physically here anymore? If you answered yes, you're not alone. Millions of people around the world have experiences that challenge our traditional understanding of death and what comes after. Death isn't the end. It's just a change, a transition into a different state of being. And those we love never really leave us. They find subtle, yet powerful ways to communicate with us, sending us signs that they're still around in our lives. Today, let's explore together the mysteries of this silent but powerful communication. We'll find out how to recognize the signs our loved ones send us from beyond, and how to open our hearts and minds to these messages of love and comfort. If this topic resonates with you, if you've had an unexplainable experience, or you're just curious about this eternal connection, hit that like button right now. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss any content about spirituality and connections that go beyond the physical. Your comments and experiences are super important to our community. Get ready for a journey that might completely change how you see death, grief, and the ongoing bonds of love. Because true love never dies, it just finds new ways to show up. How many times have you woken up from a dream so real, so vivid, that for a few seconds you couldn't tell the difference between dream and reality? What if I told you those dreams could be much more than just your mind making things up? Maria, a 45-year-old nurse, lost her husband in a car accident. 3 months later, she started having recurring dreams where she talked with him in detail about things that hadn't even happened yet. In one of these dreams, he warned her about a problem in her car. Maria woke up curious, but decided to get the car checked anyway. To her surprise, the mechanic found a serious brake problem that could have caused a fatal accident. Dreams are seen in many spiritual traditions as the most natural doorway for communication between worlds. When we sleep, our logical mind relaxes and our spiritual awareness becomes more open. That's when the barrier between the physical and spiritual worlds gets thinner. But how can you tell an ordinary dream from a real spiritual visit? Visitation dreams are clear, packed with strong emotion, and often include info you couldn't have known. Plus, these dreams leave a lasting feeling of peace and connection. João, a businessman who lost his mom to cancer, said she appeared in his dreams 3 nights in a row, always smiling and saying, "Take care of your heart, my son." At first, he thought it was just emotional. But after so many dreams, he got his heart checked. Doctors found an arrhythmia that could have been very serious if untreated. These aren't isolated stories. They're proof of something that science is only starting to understand, but that the human heart has always known. Love goes beyond death, and those who have passed find ways to keep looking out for us. Close your eyes for a moment and think about your grandma's perfume, your grandpa's cigarette smell, or the scent of that cake your mom used to bake on Sundays. Now imagine smelling that exact scent, strong and unmistakable, right when you most need comfort. Coincidence? Or something much deeper? Smell is our most primitive and emotional sense. It's directly connected to the limbic system in our brain, which controls emotions and memories. That's why a simple smell can instantly take us back in time and trigger intense feelings. This deep connection is exactly why our loved ones choose to communicate through scents. Ana Claudia will never forget the day she was cleaning her mom's house, just 2 weeks after her mom passed away. She was lost, doubting all the choices she'd made during her mom's last days. Suddenly, the whole room filled with her mom's signature perfume, a scent that hadn't been in the house for years. It was so strong and real that Ana Claudia looked everywhere, thinking she'd found an old bottle. There was nothing. But in that moment, she felt a wave of peace, like her mom was saying, "It's okay, my daughter. You did your best." Ricardo had a complicated relationship with his dad, who passed before they could clear things up. Months later, whenever Ricardo was especially upset about it, he'd suddenly smell his dad's aftershave. At first, he thought he was imagining it, but it happened so many times, always when he was thinking about forgiveness, that Ricardo realized it was his dad's way of saying the past didn't matter, and their love was bigger than any disagreements. These unexplained scents usually show up on special days, anniversaries, important dates, or when we're struggling. They come suddenly, are strong and clear, and disappear just as mysteriously. But they leave a deep mark, the feeling that we're not alone. Have you ever had a hard time and, out of nowhere, the radio turns itself on, playing the song you and your loved one loved most? Or maybe the lights start flickering with no technical explanation, right on the anniversary of someone's death? If you thought these were just coincidences, maybe it's time to think again. Spiritual energy has a funny way of connecting with electronics. That's because both spirits and electronics work with energy fields and frequencies. When a spirit tries to reach out, it can mess with these fields, causing weird things to happen with devices. Carla was heartbroken after losing her 19-year-old son in a motorcycle accident. 2 weeks after the funeral, she was alone, crying in the living room, when her son's cell phone, turned off in a drawer for days, started playing music. The song was Aquarella by Toquinho, the same song she used to sing to him as a kid. Carla ran to the phone, but it had already stopped and was still off. There wasn't any technical explanation, but that didn't matter. What mattered was the feeling that her son was saying, "Don't cry, Mom. I'm okay." Common electronic signs include TVs changing channels by themselves and landing on meaningful shows, radios turning on with special songs, lights flashing in specific patterns, phones ringing with no call, and even texts or calls from numbers that don't exist anymore. Marcos, a skeptical electrical engineer, completely changed his perspective after his wife died. For weeks, every time he came home sad after work, the porch lights would blink 3 times, the exact signal he and his wife used to greet each other when one got home. He checked the wiring over and over. Nothing wrong. The bulbs only blinked like that when he really needed a sign that she was still there. These things aren't meant to scare you. On the contrary, they're acts of love, creative ways our loved ones find to say, "I'm still here, I still care, and our connection is stronger than death." Have you ever felt an invisible hand on your shoulder during a hard time? Or maybe a gentle breeze caress your face indoors? These physical sensations can be the most comforting form of spiritual communication, because you literally feel hugged by love that goes beyond death. Touch is our very first love language. From the moment we're born, it's through physical contact that we feel safe and loved. Our loved ones know this, and that's why they often choose this intimate way to comfort us when we need it most. Patricia was going through the worst time of her life. She'd lost her job, her marriage was a mess, and her mom had died only 2 months before. One sleepless night, sitting in the kitchen crying quietly so the kids wouldn't wake up, she clearly felt 2 hands gently rest on her shoulders. The touch was warm and familiar, just like the hugs her mom used to give when she was little and had nightmares. There was nobody else in the kitchen, but Patricia felt a deep peace, as if her mom was whispering, "I'm here, sweetheart. Everything's gonna be all right." These physical sensations can show up in many ways. The feeling of someone sitting on your bed, a gentle touch on your hair, a hand holding yours for a few seconds, or even a full-on hug that only lasts a moment but leaves you filled with love and protection. Fernando, a firefighter who lost his partner in a fire, had an experience that completely changed how he feels about death. During a tough rescue, just when he was about to give up searching for victims, he felt a strong hand push him to the left. That touch led him straight to a child he never would have found on his own. Fernando is sure it was his late partner still helping him save lives. These spiritual touches usually happen when we're most in need emotionally, when we're vulnerable and alone. They don't scare, they bring comfort and loving presence. It's like our loved ones are saying, "You're not alone, I'm still here for you." Have you ever noticed how your dog or cat sometimes stares into a corner like they're seeing something you can't? Or how they act strangely at certain times, as if reacting to an invisible presence? Animals have a spiritual sensitivity way beyond ours, and often serve as bridges between our world and the spiritual. Animals don't have the mental barriers we adults build up. They live with their senses wide open, which makes them super tuned in to spiritual energies. That's why they're often the first to sense our loved one's presence. Mrs. Helena had a cat named Mingao, who was totally attached to her husband, Mr. Antonio. When Mr. Antonio died after a long fight with cancer, Mingao got really depressed, wouldn't eat, and just hid under the bed for days. But then something amazing happened. Every afternoon, right at 3:30 p.m., the exact time Mr. Antonio used to get home from work, Mingao would run to the front door, meow happily, then go to Mr. Antonio's favorite chair and curl up in an invisible lap, purring for about an hour. Luna, a golden retriever, did something even more impressive after her owner, an 87-year-old lady named Dona Rosa, died. The family decided Luna would live with Dona Rosa's daughter, Marcia. On the first night in the new house, Luna refused to sleep. She just sat in the living room, staring at an empty chair, her tail wagging. Then, Luna suddenly climbed into the chair, the same way she always did with Dona Rosa, and settled in as if she was on someone's lap. Marcia realized Luna was feeling her mother's presence. The most common signs: animals who fixate on certain spots in the house, play by themselves as if someone's there, show sudden excitement for no reason, or sleep in places that belong to the loved one who passed. Don't just brush these off as missing their owner or acting weird. These are powerful signs that the spiritual energy of our loved ones is still here, and their love for everyone, including the family pets, lives on. Have you ever found something in a spot you're sure you didn't leave it? Or had a special item you'd lost for years just show up when you really needed a sign? Moving objects is one of the most obvious forms of spiritual communication because it leaves physical proof of our loved one's presence. These moments aren't random. They usually involve objects that meant something special to the person or symbolize a message for us. It's their way of saying, "I'm still here, and this is proof that I'm still part of your life." Isabel was desperate to find a certain photo of her dad for his funeral. It was the one where he's smiling at a family party, the one that really showed his joyful spirit. She'd torn the house apart, asked her siblings, cousins, everyone, but the photo was just gone. On the morning of the funeral, Isabel went into his room one last time to say goodbye. There was the photo, perfectly placed on his pillow, a spot she'd already searched many times. There was no logical explanation, but that wasn't what mattered. What mattered was knowing he was helping her say goodbye. Roberto kept his late wife's wedding ring in a box on his nightstand. A year after she died, on a night when he was really sad and wondering if he should try dating again, he woke up and found her ring beside his on the kitchen table. It couldn't have fallen or been moved by accident. They were side by side, like someone had put them there on purpose. Roberto took it as a sign that she was letting him know it was okay to be happy. Other common examples: books falling open to meaningful pages, pictures falling off the wall on special dates, keys showing up in impossible places, or a loved one's things moving around at night. Marina realized this in a beautiful way while cleaning her grandma's house. She'd put her grandma's rosary away in a drawer, but every morning she found it on top of the dresser, next to her grandparents' wedding photo. At first, Marina thought she was just forgetting where she left it, but when it happened for a week straight, she understood. Her grandma was showing she was still praying for the family, and that their love was still eternal. These physical signs give us a special kind of comfort because we can touch, see, or even take pictures of them. They're real evidence that love survives death and finds creative ways to show up in our world. Have you been noticing the same numbers cropping up over and over after losing someone special? You glance at the clock, and it's always 11:11, or your loved one's birthday keeps popping up on license plates, receipts, or random passwords. What if I told you these aren't just coincidences, but a universal language our loved ones use to reach out? Numbers are a cosmic language, a way to communicate that goes across cultures and languages. When our loved ones want to send messages, they often use number sequences because they know our logical brains will eventually have to notice these patterns happening way too often to just be chance. Julia lost her 16-year-old daughter, Sophia, in a car accident. Sophia's birthday was March 16 and 0316. In the months that followed, Julia started noticing the number 16 popping up everywhere in ways that made no sense. The supermarket change, $16. The number on the bus she took when she was feeling really down, line 16. Her hotel room on a trip, 1603. The random PIN her bank gave her, 160316. At first, Julia thought she was just seeing connections that weren't really there. But when it kept happening, especially on days she missed Sophia most, she realized Sophia was sending her signs that she was still there. Carlos had a special bond with his grandfather, who always said their lucky number was 27, their shared birthday. After his grandfather died, Carlos started seeing 27 in key moments. The day he got his dream job, May 27, the house he bought, 127, and even important medical appointments, always booked for 2:27 p.m. Each time, he felt protected and guided, like his grandpa was saying, "I'm here, looking out for you." These number patterns often show up as repeating numbers like 111, 222, 333, or as dates and ages connected to the person who passed. Some people always catch the time of their loved one's passing, others see birthdays or ages repeatedly. The key is how often it happens and what's going on emotionally when you notice. Regina was facing a tough choice about moving to a new city when she started seeing 444 all the time. Her mom, who died 2 years before, always said 4 meant stability and building a strong foundation. When Regina finally looked up the spiritual meaning of 444, she found it stands for angelic protection and guidance for big decisions. That's how she knew her mom was supporting her move. These number patterns aren't just statistical coincidences. They show up with emotional accuracy that defies logic. They're the work of a loving intelligence that knows exactly when we need a sign, a little reminder that we're not alone on our journey. Now that you know the signs, you're probably wondering, how can I become more open to these messages? How can I open my heart to receiving them? Spiritual sensitivity is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And there are simple but powerful practices that can boost your ability to sense your loved one's presence. The first and most important is silent meditation. Set aside 15 minutes a day to sit quietly, breathe deeply, and just be present. In those moments, mentally invite your loved one to reach out. Don't force anything. Don't expect dramatic signs. Just keep your heart open and your mind receptive. Often, messages come as gentle thoughts, feelings of peace, or sudden intuitions. Journaling is another amazing tool. Keep a notebook just for your spiritual experiences. Write down dreams, coincidences, weird sensations, repeating numbers, or anything that feels meaningful. Over time, you'll start seeing patterns and connections you didn't notice at first. Write letters to your loved one, share how you feel, ask questions, even the answers might come in dreams or synchronicities later. Create a sacred space at home. It could be a little altar with photos, keepsakes, candles, and flowers. This spot becomes a point of connection, a place to chat with your loved one, thank them for their ongoing presence, and ask for guidance. The energy of this place gets stronger with regular use, making it an even better portal for spiritual communication. Practicing conscious gratitude also boosts your sensitivity. Before bed, thank the universe for the signs you've received, no matter how small. That attitude shows the spirit world you're paying attention and appreciate these messages. Work with items that belong to your loved one. Holding jewelry, a piece of clothing, or anything they owned can make connecting easier. These objects carry their energy and can act as spiritual antennas, helping you pick up on subtle presences. Lastly, practice forgiveness, both forgiving and asking for forgiveness. Grudges and guilt build energy blocks that make spiritual communication harder. When you let go of these heavy emotions, you make space for pure love to flow freely between worlds. We've reached the end of this amazing journey, but honestly, it's really just the beginning of a new understanding about life, death, and the eternal bonds that connect us with those we love. When we open our hearts to recognize and receive signs from our loved ones, something deep changes inside us. Our relationship with death no longer means just pain and separation. It now includes the joy of ongoing connection. This new outlook totally transforms our experience of grief. Instead of feeling like we've lost someone forever, it starts to feel like we've gained a spiritual guardian, a love that now protects us from a higher place. The sadness of missing someone blends with gratitude for their constant presence, making loss softer and more loving. Many people say that after they start recognizing these signs, they develop new courage to face life's challenges. They know they're not alone, that they're loved and protected by forces beyond the physical world. Hard decisions become easier when we sense guidance from loved ones. Lonely moments become chances for spiritual connection. This openness also makes us more sensitive to the whole spiritual side of life. We start to notice the magic in small moments, realize we're in an interconnected universe, and recognize that love really is the most powerful force. Our faith grows, not from dogma, but from real, personal experiences of something greater. But maybe the deepest change is how we see our own mortality. When we understand that death is just a transition, that consciousness and love stick around beyond the physical body, we lose much of the fear that freezes us. We start to live more fully, love more deeply, and cherish each day as the precious gift it is. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these experiences connects most with your own story? Have you ever had an unexplainable sign that brought comfort to your heart? Share your experience in the comments. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to find peace and hope. If this content touched your soul, if you feel like you belong to this community of people who believe in the eternal power of love, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Together, let's keep exploring the deepest mysteries of human existence. Your likes and shares help this message of hope reach more people who need to know they're never really alone. Remember, love never dies, it just finds new ways to show itself. And you, my dear viewer, are an essential part of this infinite web of spiritual connections that make our lives more meaningful and beautiful. Until next time, keep your heart open and your eyes on the lookout for signs. They're everywhere, just waiting to be noticed and celebrated.